So once we've exited sprint planning, we're ready to start. But I want to talk about working as a Scrum team. It's a little bit different than traditional teams sometimes. So you're going to have different elements of the team. You'll have UX designers, developers, and testers, and maybe something else, but we'll stick with these roles for now. And you have a UX designer who's creating screen mockups, wireframes, etc. You have the actual code that's being written by the developers, and test cases being authored by the testers. But all too often, even inside the sprint, we still have these boundaries. Still physical sometimes, or again organizational. The UX guy wants to wait until everything's pixel perfect before he hands it to the developer. The developer wants to make sure everything's perfect before they talk to the QA person. And they sit in their separate areas and don't talk to each other until late in the process. And we don't want to do that. We want to get iterative as much as we can. So let's talk about some of these things we can do. First of all, sit together. I meet so much resistance for this, and I'm not really sure why. A lot of it is just organizational. Sometimes functional managers want all the same people that they are supporting all around them. But you have to remember, they're with their teams more than they are with you. Let them sit with the people they interact with on a day-to-day basis. So get those people co-located, sitting together. Remove all those physical boundaries as much as you can. And inside the sprint, work iteratively. Don't wait until everything's done. UX designers, don't wait until you have everything pixel perfect. Sketches, Sketchflow, or other products like that allow you to get a rough idea of what you want and then evolve it over time. Show them the early sketches. Developers, if you're developing a 3-page wizard, once you get that first page done, show it to somebody. Show it to the tester. Let them know what the details are. And testers can be talking about how they're going to be tested and interacting and coming back and asking questions. What are we going to do if they click on this or they don't fill that out? This should be an ongoing thing so that we're not waiting to the very end of everything being done before we give it to the testers or the developers. Also, limit your work in progress. It's not necessarily a Scrum thing, really comes from Lean and Kanban, but it's definitely something you want to do inside of a sprint. If the developer can run wild and develop 5 things at once, but the tester can only test 2, you're going to create a bottleneck and you're going to really make that person slammed at the end of the sprint. So limit your work in progress. If you're working iteratively and working collaboratively, that won't be as hard as you think. You'll be able to get one thing done and move on to the next thing. If you don't, you'll find out that somebody's always going to be getting the short end of the stick. When you're working as a Scrum team, you also want to have a flow that's going almost every day. The developer is developing the software. He's writing unit tests. We'll talk about unit testing a little bit later. Testing what he's doing as he goes along, though, to a certain degree, checking that into some kind of source control that you then might have continuous integration hooked up to. So when it sees something checked in, immediately picks it up, builds it with everything else. Especially in a team that's working a lot in the same code base, you want to make sure the second I check something into that source control, I know if it breaks something somebody else already did. And then you can run feature testing. Now this might have to be manual right now, or it can be automated later. And this should be happening every couple of days, if not every day, where we are checking a little bit, making sure it works with everything else, running some feature tests, and repeating the cycle and adjusting as we need to. And that's that whole inspect and adapt at even a micro level inside the sprint. Often when you're working collaboratively, you're going to have some people who really don't get that. And they're going to say, that makes me less efficient. If I have to wait till the tester's done or the UX guy is done, I can move on to something else. That's not efficient for me. We have to remember, it's less about the efficiency of an individual person and the efficiency of a team. If you, again, can move forward and develop 20 things, but we can only test 5, that means probably at the end of the sprint, we're going to have a lot of untested code. And untested code is not code I can release. We won't be release ready. So you're actually hurting the team. And it's hard to take a passionate developer, let's say, where it happens most often, and take that and move it to something constructive. So you might do things like have something called other interesting work, which is a backlog of things they can work on that will help the team but not add a downstream effect. So automating something or building a new environment that will help with testing down the road. Those are things they can work on and then come back off and work on the work that we actually need to do during the sprint, but it won't interrupt the flow of everybody else. Limiting your work in progress. If those people really don't get it, a lot of times you'll have to find some constructive ways to keep them from creating those downstream effects. But generally, once everybody sees the flow and they start seeing the quality of work that comes out, you generally won't have a problem.